Hey guys, welcome to the You and Rusty YouTube channel. My name is Vedant Kaushik. This is a different kind of a setup, but on this particular channel, we talk about lifestyle, we talk about books, we talk about ways and manners in which you can improve your productivity and your lifestyle. We did a video around why podcasts are better than books for learning, and this particular video, which is the part 2 of the small mini series that we are doing, we are going to be talking about the more pressing equation at hand, which is why are books considered better than podcasts for learning. And I, being an English literature graduate, I literally studied and read novels and read books around history, sociology to get my degree. I mean, it does sound easier than it was, but in this particular video, we are going to be specifically focusing exactly on why books are a better resource for you for consuming knowledge, for information, for leisure, and for 100 different other things. So, without any further ado, let's begin. Now, recently there has been a huge wave of podcasts being flooding in the country. There are podcasts around stories, there are horror podcasts, there are 100 different podcasts that you can listen to. And I'm not entirely against this fad of podcasts. I mean, I particularly believe that podcasts are a great resource for you to learn. I myself have 3 podcasts. But in this particular video, I'm going to give across some really important arguments in the favor of books as a learning resource. Again, if you haven't watched the previous video on why podcasts are better than books for learning, I would request you to check it out from the link in the description or in the cards up there, and let's get right into it. So we're going to be essentially focusing on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 aspects as to why books are better than podcasts for learning. Now, the number one reasons why books can be considered better than podcasts for learning, of course, is the fact that books can be highly descriptive. Just the fact that an author or a writer or a publisher can literally spend years researching on a particular topic. So if you have a particular interest and you want to get deep down into any particular topic, a story, a novel, a particular field of expertise, then there frankly isn't a better resource for you to learn. I mean, there is a reason why authors and writers spend years of their lifetime writing these books. On the other hand, podcasts are generally conversations that last around an hour and a half, and they're great for you to get a subject matter overview. And for most people who want to become experts in something and who want to get into the deep depth of a particular topic, there isn't frankly a better resource for you than books. Now, there is an argument in the favor of podcasts which says that by listening to podcasts, you can become a better speaker, you can improve your vocabulary, but frankly, there is not a better way to improve your vocabulary, improve how you can learn to read and write better than just by reading. I mean, the argument that we made in the favor of podcasts was exactly the fact that you only are using your ears while listening to podcasts. You may be consuming with your eyes if you're watching a video, but in the case of books that you're reading, and essentially it is a matter of how many senses you're using at a particular time when you're talking of books. You're reading, you're consuming the knowledge with your brain, you're transcribing the information into a manner which you can understand, and that not only teaches you how to write better, but it teaches you how to read better, how to formulate and articulate better, and that is the reason that books are better, in my opinion, than podcasting for learning. Now, this particular argument goes into the depth of storytelling when you're reading, say, a novel or a short story, and the empathy quotient when you're reading a book is much more than you're listening to a podcast, because podcasts are mainly about perspectives. When you're reading a book, you can put yourself into the shoes of a character. You can experience a particular story from the point of view of a character or a narrator. And that is the reason reading books and reading stories right from a young age, it's encouraged, because it helps kids and children who are reading books and reading moral stories develop a sense of empathy and grow in their emotional quotient, but become better at expressing emotions, become better at understanding emotions. And more often than not, when you're reading a novel, you visualize. Every single individual can have a different visualization of a story, and that is a fascinating thing about books, which is the reason that I've grown up all my life reading books and not listening to podcasts. I remember I used to read on my small little Nokia device, which was the Nokia 5300. I used to spend nights reading because I just could not get enough out of the stories that I was reading. I could feel that I was right in the middle of the story, or the story was about me. And I think that experience of reading in the formative years of my life is one of the biggest reasons why I've got a stronger sense of empathy than most people that I come across with. There was a study which was done on students in demanding health and science program in the United States, and it found out that 30 minutes of reading lowered blood pressure, lowered heart rate. Now, there are also studies that show that mental stimulation by the act of reading for 30 minutes a day has been proven to slow the process or prevention in mental degenerative diseases like dementia and Alzheimer. Add to the fact that reading can also help you develop better analytical thinking, better clinical thinking, better problem solving skills, which are all skills which come in handy in the practical world. So if you have no other reason to read than to just become a better problem solver in life, I mean, that should be reason enough. And frankly, the most important thing that reading does to an individual, in my opinion, is the fact that it can help you become a better writer. Now, one thing that I have learned all of my life in the sphere of working professionally, or even writing in college, or even education in school, or making this video, one thing that I've learned is that it always helps for someone to be a better writer. You can become a better writer by being a better reader, and it's all a vicious, it's not a vicious circle, it's a great circle, it's a great cycle of improvement, which you can start just by reading. Okay, and the final and the most important reason why I would recommend someone to read a book is the fact that you are required to sit down and focus on a book. I have been recording this video on a camera, there's a laptop right, there's a mic here, there's a phone here, but when I'm reading, when I've got a book in my hand or I've got a Kindle in my hand, none of these things matter. I might get distracted with a notification on my phone. I might get distracted with a notification of an email on my laptop. I might get distracted with the battery icon which is blinking right now on my camera as well. But when I'm reading a book, I do not need to be surrounded with a lot of tech gadgets. I do not need to be surrounded with a lot of technology which is designed to distract me. I can sit down, put all of my focus and attention in a book which is engulfing, which is engrossing to me. And that is a feeling that I honestly cannot explain to you. It's a feeling of enthrallment. It's a feeling of excitement when you are lost in a book. It can be a non-fiction book, it can be a fiction book, but for me personally, because I'm a literature student, what happens mostly is that I get lost in a fiction book and I'm just engulfed. It's one of the best feelings in the world that I have experienced, and I would recommend, if you're not a reader by now, I would thoroughly recommend you start reading. Okay, now the conclusion of this video might sound thoda complicated to you, but it's going to be very simple, because it is not a matter of fact that you have to either choose books or podcasts. The reality is that you can choose both. It's a matter of convenience, it's a matter of what your end goal in life is. But if you want to become a better reader, I've got a bunch of videos on this channel which can help you become a better reader, of the habits that I do, but there are a few quick tips and tricks which I want to send across to you, which can help you become a better reader. I would recommend you to set up a time to read every day and live up to it. For me personally, I have my Kindle right on my bedside table, and whenever I go to sleep, I put my phone on charge across the room, just pick up my Kindle and I read till I'm feeling sleepy. So that allows me to read for half an hour to 45 minutes every night, and frankly, it's great. The next step is you can join a book club online. You can also check out the other book reviews that we have done on this particular channel and see if any of those books interest you, and you can pick up those. Another thing that I used to do, audiobooks versus books is a different debate entirely, but whenever I used to commute to my office, which usually was an hour and a half one way, I used to just listen to an audiobook. I am not sure, but I might have listened to around I was able to complete, I think, 2 books a week listening to an audiobook just on my way of commute. So you can do that by picking up a book, pick up a Kindle, getting them on your phone. Frankly, I would not recommend you to get a book on your phone because, again, distractions. But you can pick up the habit of reading while you're commuting. And the final 2 tips are, you can join a website like goodreads.com. You can browse the books that interest you. You can make a list of the books that you want to read and eventually get through that list. That is something that I do. You might want to check out my Goodreads profile. It's linked somewhere in the description. And I think, that's about it. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think books are better than podcasts for learning? Are they better for consumption? What would you rather prefer? If you are not a reader already, what would make you want to become a reader? What podcast do you listen to? Leave them all of those recommendations down in the comment section below. If you're a new viewer on this channel, we do a lot of this stuff on this channel. Make sure you check out the other videos. If you're an old viewer, I would request you to subscribe. You have already subscribed. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Click the bell icon, because we come up with these videos a lot of times every month, maybe a couple of times a week, maybe once a week. And if that's something that interests you, I would highly recommend to check out the rest of the videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.